The mangoes are now developing past golf ball size in a lot of cases. Although some fruit are still smaller than that. And still at this point, a lot of trees are dropping a lot of their fruit that they have set. You may be wondering why that's happening. If you have mango trees at home or you've got trees in your neighborhood that you're observing and initially you see them set all these little mangoes, and all of a sudden gradually they just start falling off. And that's a normal behavior from mango trees. In a lot of cases, they will set far more fruit than they're able to hold. But sometimes they will drop too much fruit and then you end up with less of a crop than you're expecting, or in some cases, no crop. And so in that case, it's a bit of a problem. So I've been asked to talk about how you can minimize fruit drop on mango trees. And there's a couple different strategies you can employ at home to increase rate of retention and reduce abscission, as we call fruit drop in agricultural terms. So number one, best thing that you can do if you have a tree at home and you're trying to maintain the fruit that's on it is to irrigate the tree and make sure it's receiving consistent water during the initial phase of fruit development for the first 6 to 8 weeks or so. By that, I mean, you need to make sure you're giving the tree plenty of water at least several times a week. I'm going to say at least twice a week. And if you can do more than that, it's better. This time of year in South Florida, it's usually pretty dry and already hot. So we're not getting much rainfall, if any. And even established mango trees that don't require supplemental irrigation will still feel drought stress of sorts as the top level of the soil starts to dry out. And so if you do not provide extra moisture for those top roots, they will respond by dropping more fruit. So if you can water the trees, again, for like 6 to 8 weeks or so in the beginning of the fruit development process, you'll definitely see a reduction in how much fruit they drop. Now, beyond that point, you don't really need to water them because usually once the fruit have gotten a little larger than this size, we'll call this golf ball size, the rate of abscission or fruit drop starts to decline, and they're much more likely to be holding on to those mangoes to maturity past that point. If you're watering your trees when the fruit are entering the maturation process, you are only going to harm the quality of the fruit. So that's why it's important after a certain point to stop watering the tree if you're doing so. Even large mature trees, older trees benefit from supplementary irrigation. Now, we don't water these huge trees here, but we do water our smaller trees during the fruit development process. Okay, so number two, in terms of trying to prevent excessive fruit drop, is making sure that your tree is nutritionally healthy. Trees that are healthy and have, nice, healthy looking foliage, and are in good nutritional balance are less likely to drop excessive amounts of fruit than trees that are unhealthy, that are experiencing micronutrient deficiencies, that are experiencing canopy dieback. I was before I was on the way here this morning, I actually saw some trees along the road that were in obvious nutritional decline, and you could see some dieback in the canopies. And even though most big trees down here have big crops this year, these trees did not. You could tell that they had dropped a lot of the fruit that they had set initially, and that's not surprising to see. So it's important to take good nutritional care of your trees, and make sure that they're healthy in general, and they'll be more likely to hold on to fruit. Number three, I would say it's kind of part of that is developing a good canopy to begin with. So it's been scientifically shown that mango trees that have more leaves, more foliage, will hold on to more of their fruit. So if you've got a canopy that's nice, complex, well developed versus a tree that has a canopy that's maybe lanky, has less foliage, and is kind of growing unwieldy, if you will, generally the tree that's got better canopy development will hold on to more of the mangoes that it actually sets at a higher rate. And then finally, controlling disease. So mangoes that get afflicted with fungus, be it anthracnose or scab, when they're small, whether that's, pea size or marble size are more likely to drop off the tree. So if you're in an area that's maybe under higher disease pressures, and you can expect to see fungus on your fruit, now some of that fruit will survive without help, but you'll lose less of it, and less of it will drop off if you control the fungi on them. Here locally, that would be areas of western Palm Beach County. So we're in West Palm Beach, city of West Palm Beach over here. But once you get past 441 or past Turnpike, it depends on, the locale. But areas like Loxahatchee Groves, the Acreage, Loxahatchee, Wellington, West Boynton.
More dew, more humidity in the morning.
Much more humidity because of a variety of different factors that raise the humidity levels compared to the coastal zone. In certain areas, you don't have to go as far west because those factors are more present closer to the ocean. So like as we go northward into like Martin and St. Lucie counties, you've got those canals and bodies of fresh water like ponds and lakes and stuff, and also excessive vegetation, occurring a little bit more eastward. So, that line of demarcation, if you will, occurs a little more eastward the further north you go. And then on the west coast of Florida, it's just generally more humid. So you don't have to go very far inland for it to become extremely humid, compared to over here. So, but within the middle of the state, you've got places like Immokalee or Clewiston or something like that, Okeechobee City. Those places are humid, and more under higher disease pressure than over here, or even just a little further west over here. So like areas such as Green Acres, for example, just a town that's a little further west, or Royal Palm Beach, those are not as disease prone as some of those interior towns inside the middle of the state. So that's good examples of places that are under high disease pressure. When I was in Loxahatchee Groves, farming there, I considered that to be very, very high disease pressure. It was very humid there. And we got a lot of disease on mangoes that we don't see over here. Not just anthracnose, but we got scab. We don't really get scab here. We get disease on the fruit in the later stages of maturity, like sooty blotch and fly speck. Those don't really exist here, or rarely do. Definitely a huge difference. And so if you can control disease on your young fruitlets, you'll lose less. Sometimes fruits will get anthracnose or scab and they will still stay on the tree and they just end up with scarring as the fruit, matures. So it makes it look ugly, but it's not going to necessarily destroy the fruit. But, if you can control it, you're better off. And so those are all things that a homeowner can do to reduce fruit drop and increase the volume of their crops, on a consistent basis.